Hi, I'm Taufiq Qureshi, and it's really a pleasure and an honor for me to be coming to you through this beautiful platform called TEDx. I'm going to talk about my journey as a musician, which I guess, started when I was brought from the hospital to my house in Mahim, next to Maghdum Shah Baba's Dargah. I guess since then my journey as a musician started because the naad, the sound of the tabla, was always there in the house, and that's why it was always there in my ears. As a kid, I would crawl to that beautiful instrument and bang on it like so many kids do. And I guess that was the first step towards learning that instrument, because when you bang on it, you start at a very early age, you start realizing the sound. So I guess that's what my journey was. That's where my journey started. But I was always having a parallel journey. Whenever the sandal, which means the procession for the urus, which happens in Mahim, or for Muharram, the processions, when they would come and they would play those big dhols, I would be, as a 4-5-year-old, get attracted to that sound, and I would run there to the dargah, and I would get involved in hearing the dhols and the tasha. Or when I would go to the beach behind my house, where the dholwala, the guy who makes those small toy dholaks, would come and he would play the dholak in order to attract the kids to buy his dholak. So I would just run and sit there while he would play his dholak. So the tabla was in the house. I was attracted to it. When my father would play, or when Zakir Bhai would play, or some students who would learn from my father would come, they would play. And side by side, I was always attracted to this other rhythm, especially when any song would come on the radio, especially of the great R.D. Burman Panchamda. I had these small bongos, toy bongos, and I would put them between my legs, and I would imagine that I'm performing with the orchestra in the film song. So I guess at a very early age, I was walking the path with the tabla and the other rhythm. So yeah, walking the path with the tabla and the other rhythm. Sometimes, in the dargah, there's a huge nagara, and every Friday for the prayers, they would bang on those big nagaras like dhan, dhana, dhan, dhan, dhana, dhan, dhan, dhana, dhan, dhan. And I would, wherever I was in the house, in that vicinity, I would run to that big nagara and I would stand. I would be right below it with that huge sound, but it didn't affect me. I was just attracted to that sound. So yes, this journey continued. And I guess walking the path, I was learning the tabla, and then I was following the other rhythms. When in my school, I would play on the desk and I would be thrown out of the class, which was fine for me because that means not studying, not doing the homework. And when I came into college, getting thrown out like that was nice, because then I would go to the canteen, or my favorite haunt in the college at St. Xavier's College was the association room, where I would again explore music, in either doing a practice or listening to some music. So yes, this journey continued till I professionally started playing. So I was professionally playing the tabla with classical musicians like Pandit Brij Bhushan Kabra ji, Hari Prasad Chaurasia ji, Ustad Sultan Khan Sahab, and also with my own contemporaries, touring US and UK and Europe with Abba ji and Zakir Bhai as a trio, the tabla trio. But simultaneously, I was also playing dandiya, garba shows, I was playing orchestra shows, I was doing small recordings. So I was walking with one leg here, one leg there, and at about around 86, 87, I started actually working in the film industry. I worked with Anand Milen, Jatin Lalit, Anu Malik, Rajesh Roshan, and with the later music directors like Shankar Ehsaan Loy, Vishal Shekhar, Preetham, Sajid Wajid, Sachin Jigar, and many others. So around 86 or so, I was walking the path, again classical this, and I told my father, Baji, I want to not play classical music because I think my my calling and my attraction is more towards this other rhythm, which is the film recordings. So, but he said, okay, fine, because he had also worked in films a lot by the name of Taufiq Qureshi. So he said, yeah, if you want to work in films, go. It's all right. Because as long as I am doing music, he knew I was on the right. I was on the right path. Because apart from music, I didn't know anything, So that's it. And then I went into the studios, and I was completely involved in the studios from 86 to 96. Going at 9 in the morning and coming back late, sometimes at 1, 2 in the night, and sometimes doing recording and then in the night playing dandiya, and at the time of Navratri, and then sleeping for 3 hours, and then going to Mehboob studio. I was married by then, so we were living in Kandivali, so I would travel to Mehboob studio in Bandra, or to Film Center, which was in Tardeo, or to a closer place like Andheri, where Sunny Studios was. So various recordings were happening, and backgrounds and songs for which I was programming rhythm and playing live. So that all happened, and then out of this came my album Rhydhun. Mr. Rajiv Sharma said, this gentleman met me, his name is Rajiv Sharma. He said, I'm launching a label, so will you do a album? I said, yeah. So this is about 98, 99, and by the time the album got complete, it was 2000, and that's when it released, and Rhydhun propelled me. Really, I think it's blessings of my father who was in that album, and blessings from all the other musicians like Zakir Bhai, Shankar Mahadevan, L. Shankar, my wife Gitika, Sridhar Parthasarathi, Nitin Shankar, Rajat Dholakia. So many people were part of it, and it's their blessings, and I feel it's my father's biggest blessings that this album really propelled me and brought me to the limelight. So my journey continues. I was getting a lot of shows. But I was playing the drum kit and some electronica, and working in films also. Films like Dhoom and Bhool Bhulaiya and Bhag Milka Bhag and Dil Chahta and Mission Kashmir, Rockford, Kuch Na Kaho, so many other films, Savaria and Devdas and Black and backgrounds and film songs, and so all this was happening. But there was something I was feeling is, I'm not happy, because I had all this knowledge of my father in my head, the tabla repertoire, and I wanted to define it through some instrument, So I was doing all this, trying to do all that, because throughout this time also. But the drums were too many instruments to define where dha, ti, ghe, na, tinna, ginna will come. Tried on the darbuka, but too bassy and too sharp and plastic. Didn't like the sound so much. Dumbek, too small an instrument, only bass and mids, no highs. Congas, no bass, too heavy, So throughout this, then one day this Djembe came into my hands. Zakir Bhai gifted me a 10-inch Djembe. This is about 98, 99. And I took this instrument and I just put it between my legs and started playing it, and I said, wow, this has all the 3 frequencies that I need to define the tabla: bass, mids and highs. And that's when my journey started, and I started, kind of decoding the tabla onto this Djembe instrument. Dha became dhe, ti became ta, so dhati became dheta, tinna ginna became tuntum nana, so dhati dhag tinna ginna became dheta dhena tuntum nana, and tati taka tinna ginna keta kena dhe dhe nana. So dhati dhag tinna ginna, tati taka tinna ginna. Dhena gena became dhena gena. Same. Dhena gena. Dhati gena, dhena gena. Tati kena, tina kena. So dhati gena, dhena gena, tati kena, tina kena. So dhatir kita, tagatir kita, dhatir kita, dhatir kita. Dha kita kita. It became dha kita kita for me. Dha tira kita taga tira kita. Dha kita 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 kita. Dha kita 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 kita. Na kita 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 kita. So dha kita 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 kita. Na kita 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 kita. So this is how I started decoding the various repertoire of the tabla onto the djembe. And as a musician, I have always challenged myself, because basically to decode the tabla knowledge onto this African instrument is itself a challenge. But I like that challenge. I like that I want to evolve as a musician. I just don't want to be in one khacha, in one position. And that's why I started, as a kid, what I used to do, whenever Pancham Das song would come, I would go all over. So later in my life, I realized that I could control my breath in order to create a rhythmic idea. So I challenged myself. I kind of evolved as a musician by doing a lot of vocal percussions, breath being one of them, like or anyway, so I use a lot of these vocal percussions in film songs like Bhag Milka Bhag, Havan Karenge, Havan Karenge, Havan Karenge. I did the Nike parallel jingles track using vocal percussions. And that got the gold at the London International Film Festival. All voice percussions, I did the Indian Railways ad using body and vocal percussions, and that got the gold at the Cannes. So this all was happening, and for me, doing jingles is really something which I like, because in that 30-second, 40-second, you have to show everything, and you have to be attractive with your music in order to reach the audience. So yes, so now there is a balance which is happening in my life where I'm doing djembe concerts. I do proper 1.5 hour classical concerts with lehra on the harmonium of the djembe. I use a lot of voice percussions to create ads. I did an ad with just switches for Finolex. And many such ads which have vocal percussions and other ideas of using rhythm from anything, My band Mumbai Stamp is also there, which basically performs on trash material, Dhoom 2 title song. It's all Mumbai Stamp. So go and hear it and see it. So that's my journey. My journey as a musician is music, and rhythm especially is everywhere. You just have to put your mind to it and you'll be able to do it. So a little bit of that on the djembe. I'm going to wind up with just playing my favorite instrument, the djembe, my father's, the tabla repertoire onto this instrument. So the African djembe style is full hand. I incorporated the tabla and the ghatam technique which I learned from Vikum Nagaramji onto this djembe. So here it is. gati gena kata dhati ta kata dhati ta kata dhati tha. Thank you, all of you, for coming and listening to my journey, listening to my me talking about my music, about my life and everything. Hope you have enjoyed it and you will give me your love and blessings. Thank you.